It's time to meet some movers and shakers, people making waves, the Wakulla wave makers.
Hey, this is Brian English with today's Wave Maker, Wakulla Wave Maker. I'm sitting here with Donnie Sparkman. I've had the pleasure of knowing Donnie for a very long time. I know he served our country. Thank you for your service. He served his community for a very long time. We're very privileged to have Donnie here today to talk to us a little bit. And Donnie, if you would, just tell Radio Land just a little bit about yourself and how you got to be the property appraiser, and just anything you want to share to kind of identify yourself for everybody.
It's kind of been a long trip, Brian. I'm born and raised in Wakulla County, although I've lived in a lot of other places due to my father being in the military when I was growing up. I graduated from Crossville High School, which doesn't exist as a high school anymore, before Wakulla High School existed. My heirs and family have all been here for before Wakulla County existed. So it runs pretty deep in my blood. Married to the former Rita Tully. We're going on 55 years this year, I think.
Wow.
Have 3 grown sons, 8 grandsons, or grandkids, excuse me. No,
wow.
I only have 3 grandsons. Served in the military and the Army with the 199th Light Infantry Brigade in Viet Nam. When I come back from Vietnam, Emmett Farrell, who was the property appraiser at that time, offered me a job. That was in 1970. And I worked there for 10 years and got a lot of experience. Back then, everything was pen and pencil, a pad of paper, and an adding machine.
Yeah.
We had to total the tax roll with an adding machine. That took weeks on a time.
Oh, wow.
Because if you had 2 of us and one got the wrong number, you had to do it all over again. And there was a lot of columns. I've been fortunate enough to do that. I worked with Edwin Brown surveying for 23 years. Probably some of the best experience I ever had in my life. He was probably very instrumental in me and my career. He gave me an opportunity when I needed one. I became a registered land surveyor. I swore after I got beat running for property appraiser in 1980, I'd never run again. Politics was that ugly and dirty, and I didn't like them. But I decided years later that I always wanted to be the property appraiser. I'd try it again. And so here I am.
Thanks for that, Donnie. You had mentioned you've got 8 grandchildren. I know you've got at least 1 or 2 of them playing ball. Tell us a little bit about your grandkids.
Well, we've got, out of the 8 right now, there's 6 playing ball, anywhere from Little League or softball to high school, and 1 started this year in college playing ball. And it's just been the biggest joy I got to go and watch them play ball. I mean, they're either in softball or in baseball. That seems to be the sports they've picked so far. And a couple of the girls play volleyball. But
yeah.
It's just to watch them grow, and you kind of relive it yourself in a way. But I said when my kids got grown, I used to coach. I said, well, I'm through with it. But after all that's over with, you start to miss it a little bit. And it's just good to watch the kids when all of a sudden that light goes off and they figure out what they're doing a little bit or something. It's enjoyable.
Yeah. You know, Donnie, I know everybody asks you about the growth in the county and all that good stuff. And, you know, I just want to really focus on you and your experiences. Obviously, you're very successful. Who are some of the people that you feel like were critical in your growing and maturation and knowing how to treat people and in leadership?
Probably my grandfather and grandmother, who raised me most of the time when I wasn't living with my parents off. It was just Lonnie and Ethel Raker. They were probably the biggest influences, teaching me right and wrong and what to do. During high school, my old coach, Matt Mathis, and the one that followed him, Elmer Coker, were very influential. And Miss Dorothy Miller was probably a teacher that really stood out to me, as she helped me through school and taught me a lot. On past that, like I said, Emmett Farrell giving me a chance, and we got on a bad foot at one time, but in the end wound up again being very good friends. Miss Farrell was like a second mother to me, kind of. And like I said, Edwin Brown, too, he gave me an opportunity. When I needed one, he really was influential with helping me get registered, and a lot of other people, but that was some of the ones that really stood out, I guess you'd say.
Donnie, I know you're in a position where you have some good opportunities sometimes to obviously hire people, work with younger people as they're coming up. We live in an age of very quick information, not necessarily very accurate information. But what are some of the things that you see our young people have to deal with today? And, like your grandchildren, what's ahead of them as far as instant information and expectations and whatnot. What are some of the challenges you see, and maybe somehow find some opportunities in what many times we perceive as negative times sometimes?
Probably there's too much information out there now. I'm not so sure that social media is not going to be the downfall of this country. It's just too much. There's a lot more vindictive and hateful people out there than people realize. The younger generation, everybody sees looking at their hand. I mean, they're going to get where they can't carry on a conversation like me and you are. They can't talk to you one-on-one. They can't write something down. They'd rather text you now than talk to you on the telephone, and that's the most impersonal thing in the world to me. If you got time to text, but you don't have time to talk to me.
Yeah.
But there's opportunities for the younger generation to really do pretty much what they want to. I mean, to me, the hardest thing is figuring out, exactly what you want to do in life. I mean, I to this day still not sure what I want to do. About every 10 years, I was ready for a change. I started out, I was going to be a veterinarian. I hadn't got close to that yet.
Well, there's still time, Donnie.
I don't know. My time's getting a little shorter than what it was.
Yeah.
But, like I say, you've got all and, back when I was growing up, everybody, you had to go to college. Well, when I graduated, a lot of kids didn't graduate high school.
That's right.
And the opportunity wasn't there. There's more opportunity, I think, now for kids to go another direction than college, because everybody's not college material. And people have always thought, you got a college degree. Just because you got a college degree, that doesn't mean you can do a job. Somebody still got to teach you how to do that job. It shows you have the ability to learn.
Yes, sir.
So you just got to have the drive in you to want to do better, help people, and move in that direction.
One of my early opportunities when I did move here, I had the opportunity. I love to hunt, and had an opportunity to go dog hunting, as we call it. And Donnie was in that crew, and I learned a lot from that. I knew at that point, which I didn't know you, that I did know that a lot of people respected you. And for what that's worth, I think that means something nowadays. And as a younger person, as I was at the time, certainly not anymore, that stayed with me. You see when people get treated in certain ways, I guess good or bad, hadn't thought about that. And you've been serving this community for a very long time, without a doubt, and you've seen a lot of different things. I've heard stories of back in the day when the roads were dirt and there really weren't many fences.
Yeah, I was around back then. There was, I think when I graduated high school, there was maybe 5,500 people in this county.
Wow.
And most people knew most people. Other than that, Crawford Sop Shop, it was a day trip. You didn't travel like you did. Now they run to Tallahassee to get a hamburger, which used to, if you went, it was once a week to get groceries or something. But back then you could hunt almost anybody's land. It was just, there's not crime wasn't what it was that it is now. But, I've always felt like you treat people like you want to be treated. And, you may not always agree with them. You may not. And there's people that you just don't like because of their personality, but that's part of life. If everybody liked the same thing, it'd be a weird world.
Yeah.
But I always thought you catch a lot more flies with sugar than you would salt, and there's no need to, even though I don't agree, there's no need being hateful and nasty about it.
Wise words, no question.
And probably being involved in politics, which I hate. That's the hardest part I've always felt like less is more. The less you say, the better off you might be sometimes. Just because you don't necessarily agree doesn't mean you've got to bring it up and argue about it.
Yeah, I think that really kind of plays itself out in social media today, where everybody tends to be an expert. And they read an article 5 minutes ago, and now they're ready to dictate policy.
I found that everything you read and hear anymore, probably more than 50% is not true. You don't get the news, you get an opinion.
Yes, sir.
And if you think that opinion is right, you're going to be wrong most of the time. But, look at all of it and make your own opinion.
Yeah, I think it just bows to the fact that we need to be very appreciative of the facts we have on hand.
Well, appreciate what you've got and been able to have. Don't be jealous of what other people have. If you want it, work a little harder. Nothing's free in this world.
Yeah. Well, I know things have changed quite a bit. Just how many people do you guys have in the property appraiser's office now?
I think there's about 11 of us now. And Mike could use one more, but then again, we can do with what we got. The hardest thing is finding somebody that has any experience in it. I mean, you can teach or train most anybody, but it just takes that much longer to get something done. And there's certain positions that there's just nobody out there on the street corner that knows how to do it. And it takes some time to do it, but parts of it's enjoyable and parts of it's kind of dull. It's just...
Donnie, as long as I've known you, I've always considered you without a doubt a high character person. If you were talking to young people today about their path in life, what kind of advice would you give young people today?
Do the best you can do. Do what's right. It may not always be what you want to do. And don't say, well, money won't let me do it. There's ways around. You can work hard enough. You can get there. But do what's right. Treat people like you want to be treated. And you don't burn your bridges. You'd be surprised how 20 or 30 years later, something happened that, I'm glad I didn't do what I thought about doing back then. And it'll come back, but you can, like I say, just be appreciative of people's help and appreciate what you got. You don't have to have a pocket full of money or a lot of material things. It's enjoy life, enjoy the simple things of life. I mean, and I always look at myself as being a simple person. It don't take a whole lot to make me happy. If I'm in the woods or around family or something like that, it's not complicated.
Yeah, I know one thing that you've taught your young'uns is excellent work ethic,
That's probably, to me, one of the number one things I see missing with the younger generation is the work ethic. Everybody wants to start at the top and tell you how to do the job, although they don't know what the job is. You're not going to get there overnight, but work hard. And outwork the one next to you where you can get there. You can get there.
I know a couple of your sons had worked their way through school, and they were in the military, helping them get through school or not.
All three of them were veterans of the Iraq War. And in fact, we had all three of them over at the same time when it started.
Oh, wow.
And that's probably the toughest year that me and Rita spent. I realized then how my parents probably felt when I was in Vietnam. I didn't think about it then, but when you put the other shoe on your foot, you kind of look at it a little bit differently. But that in itself makes you appreciate this country more. And that's something I see nowadays that I don't know that people appreciate what they've got. They take for granted all the freedoms and the chances that they have. I mean, somebody somewhere had to stand up for it. I go to the ball games and I watch them when they do the national anthem, the people that they won't put the hand over the heart, or they're busy playing something else. I mean, take a few minutes and appreciate what you got.
Yeah, I know. I'm 56 now, but growing up during ball games and whatnot, it was pretty much constant throughout the whole audience in the ballpark. It was a very strong sense of patriotism, recognizing the national anthem and what it means. I really like to see that happen at our sports events now. I know it's not as prevalent, but
It seems to have gotten better than what it was a few years ago.
I agree with that. I do.
But, sometimes you have to get in the ditch a little bit to realize you had it better the other way. If you go to some of these other foreign countries and see how they live, it'll make you appreciate what you've got back home. But everybody takes it for granted, and it's somebody somewhere had to do something to make it where you've got what you got. If it was easy, everybody'd do it.
That's true. Well, Donnie, let me ask you this. If you could be king for a day and you could make changes out there the way you would have it, at least what would you try to accomplish if you could be a king for the day?
Wow. That's getting pretty deep, Brian.
Yeah, it is.
I really, if you look at it, the whole country, I think everybody needs to take a step back and get a little humility and learn everybody's not going to agree, but you got to get along. And we get a whole lot more accomplished if we all work together to make this a better place. But don't worry about what it's going to be for you. Worry about what your kids and your grandkids are going to get. Because if we don't, they're going to get something worse than what we've got. Everybody doesn't have to have $1 million, all that. You can be happy with that. You look at most people that's got a lot of money, they're not happy. They're afraid somebody's going to get a little of it.
That's right.
Anymore, all you see is the federal government and how they fuss and fight over stuff that if they quit all the garbage they're doing and do the work of the people, and you got to compromise somewhere. You can't just be my way or no way. If you do that, nobody wins. And the taxpayer, all they're doing is paying money for nothing. Somewhere you got to compromise and do what's best for the people. I talk to the new commissioners when they come in. I said, I'm not going to always agree with how you vote or what you do, but as long as you vote what you think is best for Wakulla County, I can't fault you. Mm-hmm. And then, we know everybody's not going to agree. Me and my wife don't agree all the time. But, it's still, I'm not going to kick her out the door. She'd like to kick me out sometime, but,
There you go.
Yeah.
Donnie, our standard of living is so high now compared to what I see. When I was coming up, I would probably consider us lower middle class. We didn't have much. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, lower middle class has 10 times what we ever dreamed of having. We didn't get a second vehicle till my mother went back to work as a teacher in the 8th grade. It wasn't until that time. I mean, I didn't even eat a steak till I went to the prom, to be honest with you.
But you didn't miss anything then,
Not
did
a
you?
thing.
Well, I remember when I was little, I think I was probably in the 3rd grade when we got indoor plumbing and everything. But I didn't know any different because most of the other people there in the county were the same way. See, it didn't bother me. I mean, I had everything I think I needed, and it probably made a family unit probably a little bit tighter.
I agree.
And nowadays I think we're probably spoiled a little bit. If you don't have 2 or 3 TVs in the house and 2 or 3 bathrooms and all that, that's not the most important stuff.
That's right.
To me, family, faith, and friends, if you don't have that, you're missing something somewhere.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy your family when they're young, you may not get the opportunity when they get older. Probably one of the biggest things that I regret seeing happen here in this county is, when I was raised, all we had was our kin folks to play with or whatever. But now, as good a school system we got, our kids have to go somewhere else to make a living. And that's the part that I hate. But I don't really know. I mean, it's going to take quality jobs, and it's not going to happen overnight. But that's the stuff that I see we're losing that I hate to see go.
Well, changing gears a little bit, is there anything countywide that you're seeing as far as position of a property appraiser? What big challenges do you see us having moving forward?
Probably the most shocking thing I'm watching, Brian, is the price of property, houses, and land in general.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it was when I left in 17, and to look at it now, I'd say it's probably doubled or more.
Wow.
in 8 years. If you say your property values are doubling, but your millage didn't get cut in half, then that means individuals are paying more taxes, which I know we have to pay more taxes to get the services we want or whatever. And we're kind of a unique county that so much of our county is not taxable, which I appreciate the Forest Service, the refuge, national parks, and the forest and all that. But it's still, everybody wants the same services they get in other counties, and it takes a little bit more to do that. And I really think the county does a pretty good job trying to do that without making the millage be maxed out. It's just watching the values and dealing with them right now. It's just astronomical to what it is. But I think where it really goes back to is a dollar's not worth what a dollar used to be.
Right.
You know, and which means you got to get twice as much to get the same thing you had before.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing. I keep hearing rumblings that there's some new industry or jobs coming in. I hope it's true. I haven't seen them yet. You know, it's kind of like what I was telling you earlier. Everything's moving at a snail's pace. Maybe we'll live long enough to see it.
Going back to something you had mentioned, dealing specifically with your job, can you tell us what the millage rate is? Not the numbers, but what's the purpose? How does that work?
Well, the millage is the amount that either the county or the school system or the Northwest Water Management District or a city like St. Mark's charges on taxes. And your taxable value, the millage is based against $1,000 value. So if you had 10 mills, you had $1,000, it would be $10, I guess. Yeah. But it's multiplied out about what your taxable value. You can have a big value, but you can have exemptions. You've got caps, whether it be homestead, it's 3% or less per year. It can go up, or with non-homestead, it's 10%. But unless you build something new or whatever, so it means that you don't get it all at one time, but it'll build there. You know, I tell people, I've never had anybody come in and tell me they enjoyed paying taxes, but yet they want to see service in return. And probably the biggest thing I see, that people want to be treated equitably, which they feel like, you know, like houses are appraised likely in value-wise. Mm-hmm. And, you know, everybody knows values are going up. I mean, you like it if you're trying to sell it. You don't like it if you're paying taxes on it. So but you can't have, it's going to be, the value is going to be the same either way. And then it's all, the appraisal is based on what market value is. So you know, if everything keeps selling higher, values are going to go higher. And if you're not wanting to sell, you don't like that. But if you're ready to sell, then you'll be tickled with it.
Yeah. We seem to have a insatiable appetite for more. We all tend to have a little bit of guilt there, but I was in a meeting earlier today, and a person was talking about being content. It's a word that I feel like aptly describes you to an extent. I mean, you're always wanting to grow and to do better and to serve, but you've also learned to be content with who you are and your daily walk.
It's always been hard in life figuring out the difference between your wants and your needs. And once you ever figure that out, and you'll never, I don't think, completely get away from the want part, but most of that stuff's material.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, if I can pay my bills and have a little money left and enjoy my grandkids and hunt and fish a little, the garden, I'm happy.
I got
Doesn't take a lot.
Yeah, well, take a second, give you the last word on anything that you would want to share with anybody, and I'll leave it at that.
And I appreciate what y'all were doing. It's a value to the community. You know, history is something that'll go by the wayside if either somebody didn't write it down or record it or anything, and you'd be surprised what we've lost through the years by not doing that. And just having a conversation with people. They may say something or think of something that you never looked at it that way or didn't think about it. You know, you're never too old to learn a little bit. But I just appreciate this county, the opportunities they've given me. That's the 99% reason that I got back involved in it. I didn't want to. I had a good job. tell you, there's no better job in retirement.
Yeah.
But I appreciate what y'all have done.
Well, Donnie, I want to say thank you again for coming to talk with us. Donnie is the Wakulla County Property Appraiser, giving us a little wisdom today, which I greatly appreciate. Appreciate what he's done for this country and what he's done for this county. Thank you very much, and we'll be talking real soon, Donnie. You have a great day, and thanks, guys.
It's time to meet some movers and shakers,